So I'm seeing jokes all over the internet that the Power Rangers show up at the end of Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later. And of course, I didn't have a clue what the that meant, because I haven't seen the film yet, and I know for a fact the Power Rangers don't show up. However, one of the actors in this Power Ranger scene is actually somebody I know from school called Sam. I dropped him a message just as a kind of preempt to me watching the film on what this entire Power Rangers meme was. I won't share our voice notes, but he basically told me that the internet isn't right, but also definitely isn't wrong. So I went to see the film for myself, and wow. I didn't expect the scene to be what it was. So the scene in question is actually the final scene of the film, where the protagonist, Spike, is being chased down by the infected. Now, just a heads up, I will be spoiling this scene, but I'm not going to spoil the rest of the film, so whilst there could be a little bit of context lost, I really don't want to be spoiling this film when it's only 2 days old. Now, Spike isn't really that well equipped or well trained to be taking on such a big group of the infected that are coming, but that's when a man appears on top of some rock, so it's more like a little cliff. He compliments Spike's archery, but then says he's happy to step in and help fight them off. And that is when an army of people in colour-coded tracksuits start to swarm in behind him. In universe, these are the members of a cult that Danny Boyle has confirmed will be the sort of main focus for the next film coming out in January. And then when they start attacking the infected, they literally start flipping over the camera, and I mean they shouldn't be getting the height that they are getting with these flips. They then start slaughtering these zombies, and you can hear them saying "Aya, is it Aya?" A team that have just shown up on some rocks in colour-coded tracksuits, flipping over, doing insanely high jumps, and going "Aya, Aya" as they smash up. Admittedly, they're using weapons, but still. So before I get into what this scene actually is and what it means, let's talk about why people are comparing it so much to Power Rangers. First of all, the leader and the rest of the cult show up on this little cliff of rocks to save Spike, which is very reminiscent of a few scenes in Power Rangers, but most notably the legendary battle from Super Megaforce, whereby the Rangers are out of luck, they're being surrounded, and then team by team, Power Rangers just are showing up around a big quarry they're in. So that could be a particular reference, but also just the fight scene in general and the way they're flipping over the cameras and the way they jump in is very tokusatsu. And for those of you who may not know, tokusatsu is a Japanese phrase for special effects or special filming. It's where Godzilla comes from, Ultraman, and of course Power Rangers. So both of these things, paired with the fact they're all wearing different coloured tracksuits, has instantly made the geek culture fandom go, nice, that's a Power Rangers reference. And hey, earlier in the film, they even included an action figure of the red Operation Overdrive Power Ranger, so it fits together. And even in 2002, which is when the first film came out, we had Wild Force airing, and that has Forever Red in it, which, whether you're a Power Rangers fan, or you used to be a Power Rangers fan, Forever Red is the hottest thing Power Rangers has ever done. I mean, 10 Red Rangers in one battle? Damn! But this is what this scene actually is. And don't worry, it's still kind of connected to Power Rangers. The leader of this cult is called Jimmy, or more formally known as Sir Jimmy Crystal. He's a kid that we saw at the start of the film, and he's here again at the end. At the start of the film, we see him watching the Teletubbies when there's a big zombie attack, and he witnesses some life-changing stuff. He lost his family in the attack, and he grows up to become the leader of this cult that are called the Jimmies. Now, if you're not British, there is a chance that this has gone over your head, and I'm not saying that to be offensive, this is just what I've seen online that people aren't quite getting. Take the fact that his name is Sir Jimmy Crystal, he wears a purple tracksuit, the hair, or the bling. This is very clearly a reference to Jim Will Fix It, or more famously, Jimmy Savile. I'll put it lightly, Jim Will Fix It is a British TV show that ran from 1975 to 1995, where a man named Jimmy went to great lengths to support charities and give wishes to the less fortunate. And again, keeping it light, but Jimmy passed away in 2011, and in 2012, we learned that he is a very bad dude. He is a horrible fucking monster. Which is mainly why this ending is so controversial amongst the people who aren't just saying, haha, it's like Power Rangers. And Jimmy, whilst not being the Jimmy, grew up to idolize him. I mean, I guess with the whole infection timeline, the discourse changed, and clearly he was never outed. And I imagine we will get some more information on this in the next installment. But to my understanding, Jimmy based himself and his cult off of this person because that's the last thing they would have seen in 2002. After that, they wouldn't have had pretty much any exposure to anything that wasn't what they'd already seen because of the disaster that occurred. I mean, they would have believed him to have been a British hero, because I mean, before everything came out, that is what the nation saw him as. Danny Boyle even said in an interview for BAFTA that the intent behind the Jimmies was to re-emphasize that this is a fucking horror movie, just not in the conventionally guessable way. But like I said, there's still definitely a link to Power Rangers in this. I definitely do not doubt that Tokusatsu had an influence because, first of all, like I said, we saw the Operation Overdrive figure at the start of the film, and the way that the fight is choreographed, it would be stupid to say no, there was definitely no inspiration, even if the inspiration was from Super Sentai or Kamen Rider for that matter. The way I see it, Spike grew up. He was born into this world, and that's all he's ever known. We see him with the Power Rangers figure at the start of the film, but he chooses to leave it behind. Whereas the Jimmies, they would have all grown up in this fucked up world, so the only things they would have known is what they knew as a kid, which is why they dress like Jimmy Savile and they fight like the Power Rangers. Hey, we even see at the start of the film them watching the Teletubbies in 2002, which could be a further indication as to why they have different colours for their uniform. But in a nutshell, that is why you've seen all of these Power Rangers in 28 Years Later references online. Of course, the information I've just given you is from research I've done / my own opinions of the film. I couldn't guarantee that everything I've said is correct, but at the end of the day, it's a film. It's all up for interpretation. If you like the 28 Days Later franchise, then of course I recommend watching this film, and if you like Power Rangers, maybe stick around on the channel. I talk about it a lot. Thanks so much for watching. Of course, a thank you to Sam for giving me some information. Shout out to Joey Lever, who prompted me to even make this video. And of course, a huge thank you to Sarah Jane, our Super Dino Mode patron.